titled Architecture of the Way Community Contemporary Spiritual Sense. That comes from terminology used by the philosophy of kind of studying the spiritual senses in architecture. And so that's started out with a work plan showing where I am, or right now we're in October, trying to get my literature review done and my precedent studies, and I want to work on my introduction, but that has come after, or as I clarify all of the terminology I think using my thesis, because I started writing an introduction, I've done it 3 times where each time I'm using different terminology, we explain what I'm trying to talk about. And I think it's good just for sharing when I'm writing that. I need clarification. So that's coming together. November and analysis. Just goes on top of it. February, online everything in terms of unbound piece of time, March 1st. So I started in that. I took notes and considering the person background of why I wanted what led me here. In childhood, growing up in Wisconsin, having my journey as far as figuring out the service I live in, the life I live, and kind of stability, so line of human nature without architecture, and then how architecture and craft life complement. I have this idea of architecture bring together the sense of wonder we have. In the top left, there is a diagram kind of called one of the construction of our type, where we have the unconscious, collective unconscious, or the archetypes that are universe of all of us. We have personal unconscious, and we have our consciousness, which is what we realize in our life. And this is a bibliography, so I narrowed my literature review down to 3 sources. One is Lawson's The Eyes of the Faith, Architecture and the Senses. That one is pretty well known. And then The Architecture of Happiness, that's by an author who's really very articulate and puts into words that feelings that architecture can evoke in daily life. And then Anthony Law is probably close to what my thesis is really about. And that's turning it into everyday life, contemporary living. He talks about airports, he talks about public spaces that affect people who don't actually live in an old world culture that has been kind of thrown away by a lot of modern living. So these pictures of Paul and Camden Workers Shaw, kind of philosophical background, and then the scope of analysis, and that's kind of related to the people I'm looking at. And then you have Franklin, Christopher Alexander, and I think another one was John Scott. And then at the bottom, architects who I've seen in their work when I'm looking at, I'm just going to sit out and become. So that's kind of where I'm able to extract really some of the precedent study on some of their work. So the precedent study itself, I think I'm going to 1 to 3 primary primary examples that graph on pieces from different points of view. You have a cultural center in New Caledonia by Elizabeth Piano, which uses wind to produce sound. It has the materials, the tectonics of everything very holistically put together. To that Landless Church of Light, where the infinity what converts in architecture to simplicity of space, to maximize the spiritual release that empty void where there's a sense of wonder, dignity. And then they often institute under the time in that very logically breaking down the holistic meaning of the contemporary place. And it has nothing to do with religion. It's one thing when Jesus is not about religion, it's about spirituality, and sometimes each individual has their own religion. But the architecture can stimulate in the religion just being based in the search for truth. And so, looking at an application, this is where it all starts to become very complex. Because I want to become somebody who likes to give the hardest test, something I do, and I don't care if it. And there's the programming class where you're talking about getting yourself involved in something that's just so much bigger than you imagined it was. And I think I might have done that, but I think that I can contact the town maybe through being focused on an aspect of it. I felt like the greatest test was in the report. I mean, that's one place where contemporary living is epitomized in the airport. We have travel, but it touches everybody. It's not a destination, but it's a room where people come together and wait for an airplane and wait for a music. They have that 30 minutes there where you feel like the architecture can respond to that. And it does, it responds right now. And I remember putting up with the retail shops and food. And they were restaurants in the airport. Jesus went down with that. In Singapore, they had a whole list of post-security amenities that help the traveler on the beach with their traveling experience. Vancouver International Airport had one that they had taken local culture, local climate, and Native American culture and used their art around the airport, using the structure of both the columns branch off like the trees of the forest that surround them. So I looked at a new airport, and initially I looked at an existing airport. I tried to associate it with stress, like starting with Atlanta and down to the very stressful airport. And that's in the top right. Picture of one of the and trying to use the scale of what all that entails with smaller airport terminals and limiting it just to a terminal, none of the ancillary services that surround the airport, but just the terminal itself that feeds passengers. So I looked at one new airport proposal today. Initially sounded great. It was in an open site, open field, flat terrain, surrounded by ice hills in Alabama. It was proposed to be a parallel to Atlanta to reduce some of their traffic. And then when I researched it and found it's not so feasible to do a new airport because of the environmental impacts and existing airports that still have potential already associated with the place. So that's why I kept it in that realm. So pretty much that's a piece aside. Right now, my mind, I'm thinking of just in one of the terminals in Atlanta. They have a very set footprint that is available. So it limits my design in that term, but it also provides a really great test for my thesis. And that is giving them an architectural terminal, airport terminal prototype applied to this airport in one of these strips right here, top of this. These are actually domestic flights. These two over here are international. So those were just built. And so in all reality, the diversity culture that I think this kind of desires is still pretty well met in these domestic and international coming into the country.
Okay, let's see who's got questions.
I understand that we are thinking about the spiritual aspect of it, but like, how is it that we are going to address everybody's religion in the design of an airport, since it's going to be accommodating different culture, different types of people? And certain words certain words might have different meaning in certain religions. So a color might be something good in one religion, but it's a bad thing in another religion. How are you going to address everybody's issues in?
It comes down to certain principles that I'm extracting through the philosophy and thought of what a holistic life, a fulfilled life is. And primarily it comes from nature. It's a large part of this deals with relating architecture to the nature, relating man and nature together.
I thought you said you started out being about this more like meditation or
Not about religion, but the problem, the issue is that when you mention the word spiritual, everybody relates it to their own religion.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm looking at.
For me, the way out of their concerns is what you said early on, which was just adopting the model, which claims that underneath all of our surface beliefs and corporate structures, which we call religion, they're fundamental, embedded human desires, configurations, paradigms for the world, his archetypes, his collective unconscious. And out of that, he's got his archetypes, which he would claim religion rides on. And those are common to everybody in our Western culture. For me, a way to proceed would be just pick 5 archetypes that relate to your theme and let Young be the one who's assembled the body, and you're just mining Young for the relevant archetypes, and then your thesis becomes unpacking those and looking at the environmental applications of each one of those in order to nurture those archetypes, because you decided through thinking and analysis that they're at the center of this spiritual thing. That gets you off the hook in multiple ways. One of the things that gets you off the hook for is defining what spirituality is. You're just saying, I'm adopting Young. Go read Young. And the other one is that it allows you an instantaneous focus in the thesis, because all you got to do is review his menu of archetypes, which is really pretty long, and pick 3 to 5, and then argue why those are relevant to what you're trying to accomplish. That those archetypes, if you pursue them with your design, will move airports toward Ando, toward Piano. That's your claim, and then we'll see what your airport looks like. And to me, that's a valid task to set for yourself. I can appreciate you wanting to put a fundamentally health-seeking, life-affirming thing in a toxic environment, just to see, can this be, what does it look like when it's behind enemy lines, that kind of thing. I think that's a very valid, challenging and ambitious agenda, and I don't want to knock you off of that. But for me, now that I see, I'm glad you got away from the stress thing. And I think you're also clear now about spirituality and the human spirit. It's not about awakening, you kind of jettison that. But for me, it would be just as valid in a monastery or a retreat center to be in friendly territory and to say, now the challenge is, how do I intensify what they're trying to be about, whereas normally retreat centers and monasteries maybe are not as intensely about those as they ought to be. And I'm not saying that to talk you out of your airport, because the way you frame your challenge, I think it'll be fun to see what you do with it. I'm just saying, I don't want your own ethic to corner you, you know what I mean? You haven't let go of this, I'm going to work in toxic territory with a health-driven theme. That's stayed important to you. I guess what I'm challenging you to do is think about that and make sure it's a conscious decision and not some sense you have that you need to put your head in the lion's mouth. You know what I mean? And that's a discussion with Roy too. Those are some takes I have. Let's see who else has.
When we looked at the airport of Madrid,
No.
it's all about art and it's all about light coming in. The whole entire airport looks like a museum. I think the roof has like this concave shape. Yeah, it's all by Renzo Piano. Kind of reminds me of the Conference Center in a way, because the elevators look exactly like it. It's all like inside out kind of thing. So that might help. That's good.
Also, added on to this, my view on this process and going on in my head. As I started thinking about how it's going to be going, and it started out with the mosh pit. My views coming together, and where was the fight concentrated? That's really how I felt like, all the ideas are fighting each other, kind of clarifying each other. And that kind of got narrowed down to some fights and boxing there. Where I have similar issues kind of fighting each other out, and still probably some of those going even one ground where I just need to call and fight to declare a winner. So I think it's very really exciting.
It's a good metaphor. It feels to me like this is the clearest I've heard you speak about this. So I don't know whether you're feeling the traction that I'm sensing, but I'm feeling you gripping something.
Yeah. And it came a lot of thinking about it and reading and narrowing down all of this. The more often I have inside the doctor, setting the authors, each one uses their own kind of terminology. Most of it goes back to them, but some of it really complicated and got to clear some layers and I plan my structure. This is pure engineering. There's no design to it. This is the piece of structure where I put it in terms of what's going to work, what's going to finish this thing on time, and get me there in a safe, in an effective, efficient manner. And I build that structure. And that pays off, getting all of my writing underway after I structured everything. So once I declare the winners of the boxing, now I can really build this piece and get it going. And then hopefully I'm able to deal with the difficulties in the air without crashing. Otherwise, Yeah, and
You shouldn't even have that.
well, I thought this was relevant because thinking ahead, I think many of these are actually okay. They made it to the landing strip. The one at the bottom right is the worst case, where they landing gear failed, they got skidded on,
But you got there.
still alive, still alive. You're still able to learn from it.
Now we need a picture of you with your.
I mean, the one out engine in air, whatever. I think things happen, but there's a deal with it, man. Otherwise, you do crash. And that's what I absolutely don't want to have.
Those images are useful to us. I think we live our lives with a sense of things like that. You've articulated it.
Maybe the top right would be the only one you can survive, and everything else is parachute out and split.
Mm-hmm. Good.
It's just a matter of anything, don't let it sit, because the worst thing to any mechanical or anything you design is just letting it go on. It feels hard to keep it moving. Feels everything. You can't use it.
Very good. Okay, we gotta leave time for the next one. Let's move to that.
Alright, I'm gonna have to go a little fast, I guess, due to the time. Put this up. Alright. So my thesis is about revitalizing Red Hook, New York. This is looking at it from a macro scale. As you can see, it's kind of like an elephant shape, right in the middle, right next to the waterfront, and I'll see it right here. Perfect. It is next to. It does have a lot of visual.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You're the first brave soul who showed up.
I haven't seen him since the beginning.
You can poke him after.
The previous person, I was looking for my office, and whomever was presenting first, I kept on seeing those horizontal lines of the bed.
Yeah.
And I thought, that's body consultation. What kind of graphics? Sorry.
Pretty much, I'm gonna give you guys an understanding of the site, so you guys I'm really looking for your feedback. The site right here, it is connected visually to Statue of Liberty, Ellis Island, Governor's Island, and Battery Park, and where the World Trade Center, the Freedom Tower is. That's where the site's located. These are the current residencies, people that are living there. Towards the bottom left-hand corner down here is a lot of these already, they're vacant. They're for rent, but there's not many people living there. The food availability in the area is very low. As you can see, there's only 2 supermarkets and like 3 little delis. The medical facility is literally one little walk-in medical clinic. So if something happens, you're kind of out of luck. You have to take a car somewhere. The parks and public recreation space, you can see there's a lot of green, but it's not used. This whole area down here, a lot of this is very abandoned. It's actually gated, and it's supposed to be a farmer's market, but it looks like it's not used as much. The public transportation, this is one major problem on the site. There's only one bus stop, and the closest train station. I don't know how many people are from New York, but train is what you take to get to everywhere, so it's very important. It's about a good 20-minute walk, and usually in New York, train stations are down the street or 5-10 minutes at max. Industrial site, it is all the pink. There's a lot of industrial going on the site. And this is the vacant lots. This is very important because you can see this whole axis right here. This is where the majority of the vacant lots are, and you'll see as I keep going why I decided to pick that as one of my locations. I'm gonna have to start off by creating a master plan because the site is very big, and then I'm gonna narrow it down to the one site where I'm gonna focus on with more detail. I'm going to show you guys some precedents that I've been working on. This is about the waterfront. I do want to revamp the whole entire waterfront. There's nothing going on. There's no connection between the waterfront and the residents that are there living. There's no parks. There's only like a couple chunks of green space, but there really is no connection. This is something that is proposed in New York City. It's actually right across the bay. It's Williamsburg, by Williamsburg Bridge. It still hasn't been built, but this is an idea of what I'm looking to do for the waterfront. This is in Ecuador. This is something that's already been built. As you can see, all the waterfront with the green and the pavements. It has this atmosphere of social interaction with the people. This is in San Antonio. This is what I took from this was they use guidelines to put with businesses around the river. This is a smaller scale compared to where I'm at because I have a whole entire ocean in front of me. This is more of a little river. But when it comes to the restaurants and mixed use, they did a really good job to have that interaction. This is the parks that I plan on connecting. This is where the vacant lots, the screen right here, most of them were. And there's already a park, a pretty big park over here. And what I want to do is give a connection to this and to that so that there's this area where you can just walk through the whole entire Red Hook. And this is actually in Spain. This is Central Park. Yeah, Central Park. This is one way of seeing how it could look. This is right across my site. It's in Battery Park. You see the skyscrapers. On Red Hook, there is no skyscrapers, so it's at a lower scale. I'm not going to be doing skyscrapers and buildings higher than probably 10 stories. This is the Highland right across as well, the bay with the park. I do envision somehow creating an elevated park if I have the chance to do it and the opportunity to do it. This is in Seoul. This is called Chattachunga River. It's an old parkway, and they turned it into a park and green space. And this is the vision that I'm going for. That social interaction. You see the people going. You see all the nightlife, daytime. I mean, this is something that one of the biggest things that there's an identity here. And right now there is nothing going on in Red Hook. This is proposals for parking lots. The parking in New York is very hard to do. It's all parking on the street. And since this is an industrial site, it's going to be hard to find parking. So I want to create parking lots where they're fun. They kind of go with the site that I'm going to be proposing. This is one in California. This is another one. It's kind of like it looks like an office building, but when you look closely, you see that it's a parking lot. I don't want to just build a traditional concrete parking lot. I want it to be fun and we even have mixed use at the bottom with the first floor with retail. This is something that's already there. There's an IKEA down here, and that's pretty much the only thing that people go there for. They were kind of smart because a lot of the business they're probably going to get is from Manhattan, which is across the bay, and they created a ferry which takes you from here all the way to Manhattan if you want to go visit IKEA. Well, I want to take that concept and create another ferry station over here where it takes you to the Statue of Liberty, takes you to Ellis Island, takes you to Governor's Island, or even the World Trade Center, the Freedom Tower, giving that connection instead of just being a place where it's dead end. This is ferry stations, examples of how I could build some. This is actually the one across the Freedom Tower, right next to Battery Park. This is one in Staten Island. Staten Island is not that far from my site as well. These are just ideas, contemporary ways of creating new ferry stations. There is a cruise station, which is very unique that I thought when I was researching the site. This cruise station is probably the loneliest cruise station I've seen in my life. It's very, 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 I mean, there's no green space. It's just, you just get off your cruise and you just get out pretty much. I want to reamp that and connect that to the park that I'm going to be creating throughout the whole entire waterfront that I proposed in the beginning. This is one in, this hasn't been built, but this is an idea in Japan. They decided to build a cruise station with a park on top of it as well. So it's public, but it's also private. So when you check into your terminal, you go through these bridges onto your cruise, but if you're not going on the cruise, you can still go to the terminal, to the park, and there's still interaction to the site instead of just keeping it all private. This is another view of that. And then this is pretty much my main, this is where I need you guys' feedback. This is the street that I was, where most of the vacant lots are, and what I want to do is I want to create a big, long pedestrian street very similar to this. This is Ramblas in Barcelona. When I was there and I visited, it was just fantastic. It's just a long street that takes you straight to the waterfront, and there's nothing but restaurants, there's retail, there's all mixed use, and I would say 24/7, there's always people there. Day and night, tourists at all times, and I felt like it was a good opportunity to use to connect to the site that I'm going to propose. This is a view how it looked like in the scale. This is kind of similar to what you'll see as well because it is New York City, so the scale is 4 to 5 stories in the wreck of New York. But when you see it at satellite, you'll see a big difference. This is an area of Seoul. This is just some more concept precedents that I found to give you guys an idea. And this as well, this is another one. This one I couldn't find where it was located. I just found this render online, but I thought it was pretty great with the mixed use, and I thought it was really good. What I want to do is I want to create right here. What you'll see is this whole entire. This is all something that's not there right now. This is all current. All these buildings right here, I created that. Those are just mass models for now. What I envision is all that to be mixed use on the first level, and then second to 4, 5, 6, maybe cut it at 4. All resident people to live, residential. And I want to, and then what is very important about this is that middle area where the green space, that's going to be the main pedestrian, where there's going to be trees, so it's going to be all outside patios for restaurants. But then right here, I want something special to happen between these access. Because this is going to be the connection between these other streets and the other buildings that are already behind the new site. So I want to create maybe sculptures or a runabout. There is not going to be any vehicles allowed on that street. So it's going to be open, but it's not going to be vehicles won't be able to go through it. And then this yellow right here, this is where my proposed site, where I'm going to be focusing on the building, which right now I envision an entertainment center. And this is another view of it. It's right next to the waterfront. Actually, I found an image that kind of took my ideas and put it on paper, some of them, and this is it right here. This leads onto a bridge, but of course the way I see it is this long corridor plaza that I'm going to be creating, mixed use. It's going to be leading to this right now I see it as 2 buildings, and I see it as a movie theater, I see it as bars, I see it as it's all mixed use, all daytime and nighttime events, somewhere where it's kind of like a downtown Toretto, creating this area where people can go 24/7, and it just keeps that interaction alive. And then also I feel like it would be great to show on the waterfront. If you're on the other side of Manhattan, you'll see all these lights, what's going on over there, instead of just seeing all these industrial old buildings that aren't being used most of the time. It'll be that connection visually to the other side of the city. And that's pretty much it where I'm at right now. Pretty much the building type is what I'm hunting for right now. That's the biggest thing. So, open it to you guys.
I just think it seems like you have a really good understanding of urban fabric. I think the building things will come out of the the entertainment somebody's talking about. Maybe community.
Yeah.
This is very nice.
So you're thinking of altering the transportation to the public space?
Yes. Yeah, there's gonna be when I was talking to Professor Robles, instead of creating, there's really not a way of creating another subway station. That's just gonna that'll just be thrown out the window. So creating a bus system that just keeps looping around. It's not that far for a bus to just keep looping around to the next train station. So like let's say you have to go to work and you have to go to Manhattan, you can just hop on this bus, which will be coming every 5 minutes instead of waiting for the actual bus that comes every 2-3 hours. And I'll just take it to the nearest train station. And then also I'm going to create ferries, so like in case you have to go to work and you do work near Battery Park or the other side of Manhattan, you can just take a ferry to that side as well.
Yeah, and bottom down and trying on instead of bottom.
Mhm.
Keep the rubber off.
Yeah.
Very-
Yeah.
What will happen at the other end of that?
That's another thing. The other end is over here. There is a park already there. Let me show you. Here, let me go to the first one. Okay, right here. So there is green space already connected over here, and I do want to have that connection. I do want to create something where this is more an exit entrance place. Because right now I have this main street that is going and is leading you up to this building, but over here I don't want it to just die off. I want it to have a connection where it gradually just continues and then just slowly just ends. That's something that I haven't really like. I thought about it, but I haven't focused on it as much. So I'm
Something's
still,
gonna happen.
yeah, something, yeah.
We talked about a terminus of some sort, maybe a pivot that comes and bend.
Because you said the geometry of this thing.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that when you have you talk more about the presentation for the master plan, is that you need to sort of present the full master plan for us to understand the parts. And because you talk about the waterfront connection, and you talk about this gondola type block, which are two different things, but they can relate to each other.
Yeah.
They do relate at the intersection of your site, and then they relate here by key, and then they relate probably to the right as they end on the other end. So that's something that needs to be sort of clarified. Okay. And I think you have a crucial error there. And the crucial error is that you're saying that people in Manhattan look outside of Manhattan. They look on the other side of the bridge. I thought they only look at their televisions.
How are your principles?
Yeah, I'm gonna be using. I have this book. You guys probably all read it. We took it in design theory class with Professor Knight. 9 principles of the 21st century, and they include sustainability, accessibility, diversity, compatibility, adaptability, and then identity. Those are going to be kind of like the guidelines of creating this, because I do want to create, architecture. I want to create these spaces with architecture manipulation that creates this interaction in that area. So instead of just being, because right now it's kind of sad. I mean, I'm from New York. I'm born and raised there. And I've always heard of Red Hook, but never go there. And I've been to the site last year. It was just actually by accident. They had this site for 50 year last year, and I was in New York and I went with them. And who would have thought I would have picked it for my thesis? But when I saw it, I was just like, there's an opportunity here for something. And even the people, like I went with my family, they're all like, this is beautiful. Look at the waterfront. You can see the skyline and everything, but there's nothing here. Nobody's gonna come here at night because you're gonna feel like you're getting robbed. Because that's just how it is. There's literally houses that look like there's some bad things going on in there. So that's what
I think your diagrams of existing conditions are up to a good start. Something I would suggest you do, because you're importing your point of scholarship, which is a smart thing, and use these principles. Just take each principle and map diagrammatically sort of how it gets physicalized on the site. What are your notions of manifesting those principles on the site diagrammatically? And then show how your scheme somehow embeds and knits and picks up as many of those as possible. So you prove that this thing was in fact at least influenced by what you said your scholarship was about.
I think that's a very good idea, because you need to build up your credibility. You're not going to design the Rambla style thing there. What you want to spend your time is in the building at the end of that. But in order to have that, you have to justify why there's a building there. Okay. So if you start putting these principles in your whole site, plus your entrance, you're going to find out that it starts building up into something that you can bite, and you don't have to design the buildings that go next to that avenue. I think that it's good that you have those boxes. You can have tons of pictures of alternative solutions, but then they justify whatever you do at the very end. they helped us.
I wouldn't ignore, and I don't think you are, I think you spoke to it. You're speaking to either end of your axis, and you're going to concentrate on the axis itself. But just outside those housing blocks, to me, there wants to be some reaching or invitation. There wants to be some porosity there, not a back turn. Yeah. Because you're looking to suck up as much light as you can. And it looks like you got some light there, but it isn't focused or wrapped around it. Your thing is going to be the magnet that congeals whatever light is there. And so some reaching left and right, in the mall, I think is important, more than just your little lines that go through the ends.
Yeah, the lines are just the beginning of something that, and you talked about a few connections that are already existing through the streets. So it's a matter of sort of expanding on that. I think that that's crucial for the development of this, not just as a gated community, but as something that is a real community.
I would try like inverting that. Instead of the green area being the green area, that be the buildings and where your buildings are, be that green area, so it kind of tapers to the surrounding area.
So like making a building in the middle?
Yeah.
And then
the green area to both sides, so it kind of connects that.
What in the middle?
Yeah, like instead of where you have the green space connection, that be kind of like a building, like, well, not that big either, like a.
But that would be against this idea of the contained social space. I think that the transition between the big, how tall are those buildings?
I just made them like five stories.
5 stories, which is not that much. And the typical building there is 2-3 stories high. So it's not a big transition, but it needs to sort of, it needs to set a precedent for what's going to happen beyond that street and then beyond. So otherwise it becomes sort of the parting of the waters there, and no one else can participate except the ones in there.
I think what Alvaro is getting at is one way to create the reason to come to the mall. Maybe there's a smaller strip of greenery on the outside. There's got to be some draw that makes them move toward your rumble space. We've sort of, we're all excited about this thing. We're kind of taking over the look. We've still got a couple of minutes. What thoughts did you guys hear this? Is he heading for any cliffs that he doesn't see yet?
I think I agree with the way he has it, because the green space is going to be like a tunnel pulling, because it's like setting a space, and the building that he's going to do is going to be the engine of it, so everything is going to flow very quick. So having the buildings on either side create a tunnel that pulls persons towards that space. But at the same time, he could, where the buildings, where he has the red line, I'm not sure the color, is that's where something is going to happen there that's going to pull persons from behind the building into that space.
Yeah, because those are open spaces. Those are, the buildings are not, it's not going to be like going on building. But I want it to be open, and then just, that's what I have to keep researching how to connect it.
That's where the key is going to be, getting persons from those side streets into that space.
If the configuration of the challenge isn't unlike yours, only you have an existing historical configuration. He's importing his principles from an author. You're trying to tease yours out of the mouth of culture. What should happen there that will do what he's trying to do? So you guys ought to be talking about pieces from. Okay, it's 10 after, so I enjoyed both of you today. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for allowing me.
See you all